my name is Justin Caffrey and welcome to my YouTube channel. This channel is devoted to an exploration of all things to do with neuroscience, our mental health, and our immense capacity to find a pathway to our own health and happiness. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about the recent findings in terms of long COVID and its link to the vagus nerve. But before we go there, please make sure you come over and check out my new website, thevagusnerve.com. It's going to be a central repository for all things vagus nerve. So if you're interested in that pathway, if you'd like to know how this is a key part of our physiological response to stress, it's also a key proven part of our physiological response in terms of performance, flow state, capacity to be well, to be healthy, to live in homeostasis. Come and join me on thevagusnerve.com. Or if you'd like to be part of my course, which we have hundreds, if not, I think we may have tipped over 1,000 people who've been through the course at this stage. Check that out at remotetribe.co.uk. Huge discount on the course now. We want to get this out as much as possible to as many people as possible. 21 days, deep dive into the vagus nerve, neuroscience, and daily routines to help you recover. Check that out at remotetribe.co.uk. And finally, you can reach me on social media. I'm over on Instagram, Justin_Caffrey. You can follow me on a daily basis. Lastly, please like and subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell so you get notification every time I release a new video on a topic that is valuable to you. Please also note, I read my comments, so please do make yourself known to me in the comments below. Join the community, ask questions. I get back to everybody on a weekly basis. So let's have a bit of a look at what we've seen so far in terms of the long COVID symptoms and the correlation between that and the vagus nerve, or really inflammation in the vagus nerve and the impact that people are finding. So long COVID may affect up to 15% of those who survive the infection. And there's many different symptoms that people are suffering from. But where we've seen this evidence is at the European Congress of Clinical Microbiology and Infectious Diseases in Lisbon, in Portugal. And it was a team led by researchers in Spain that discussed the role of the vagus nerve in long COVID. And what's important is that they started to identify that there is a connection. They started to identify it on the back of some clinical studies. But it's also adding to research that we already understood. There's some very good research into the likes of the correlation between the vagus nerve and rheumatoid arthritis, type 2 diabetes, and Crohn's disease. We can see that where people are already struggling with these diseases, we will inevitably usually find an inflamed vagus nerve. Now, that's led a lot of these studies and a lot of the pharmaceutical and clinical guidelines to lead people down the road of potential surgical intervention. So using electrodes to stimulate the vagus nerve. And in essence, we're trying to stimulate the sympathetic response, so where people are trapped in that fight and flight response. And that's what it looks like when your vagus nerve is inflamed, into triggering the anti-inflammatory response so that the inflammation decreases and people move back into that parasympathetic, that resting state. Yes, unquestionably, this has got potential, but there is an easier path. We can use multiple well-known, well-documented, simple exercises. Many of them are on my channel and available on other channels on YouTube as well, to allow you to start better regulating your own nervous system. And in terms of my own pathway to my own personal recovery, I had extreme anxiety and PTSD, which led my nervous system to a point of extreme inflammation. And as a consequence, I had multiple autoimmune issues going on in my own body: chronic fatigue, irritable bowel syndrome, leaky gut, chronic pain, sinusitis, adult asthma, the list goes on and on. All of those issues are gone. I don't suffer from anxiety. I don't suffer from PTSD. I've come to terms with all of those through a sustained program of managing my own well-being, of coming to terms with the stressors in my life and making significant lifestyle changes. So if you are on a pathway of looking to recover from inflammation in your own body, and if long COVID is an issue, I do think taking a close look at some of the ways that you can change the way that your vagus nerve is operating and reduce the inflammation in your own body can be a very helpful pathway to making some improvements in order to help you feel a bit happier and a bit healthier. Most importantly, a good way to start off is to have a diary documenting the changes that you're making and how they're impacting on your body. If you are struggling at the moment and you are drinking alcohol on a regular basis, you're taking narcotics on a regular basis. When I say narcotics, I don't mean change any medication in terms of that's been offered to you by your physician, but I do mean that if there's recreational drugs going on in your life, that's something to give great consideration to. We need to reduce stimulations to the nervous system, and we need to nourish the mind and body as best we can. So also looking at your diet, cleaning up that diet as best you can, making sure that you get high levels of fiber into it. We know in terms of extensive studies into the vagus nerve that we must also look at the benefits of what we feed our stomach. It is the second brain. We have the brain, we have the stomach, and in between, they're connected by the vagus nerve. So it's important that we think about what it is that we put into our stomach in order to feed ourselves. We must stay hydrated. Make sure that you're getting 2 liters of water every day. And we must rest. Sleep is one of the most important things that you can do for your mind and body if you're trying to work on your vagus nerve. And getting yourself back into a regular pattern of sleep is key. So really setting yourself up well for a good restorative sleep. I have a good video on sleep. I'll put it up here and you can follow that and learn a little bit more in detail. But again, structure, routine, and most importantly, consistency. Whatever changes you try to make now in order to try and reduce that inflammation in your vagus nerve, what's critical is that you look to put in some routine and some consistency in terms of what you want to do. Now, regular focus on slowing down and maintaining the vagus nerve makes the significant and lasting changes. One of the best things that you can do, which is always the most difficult things for people to sustain, is to build a regular daily mindfulness or meditation practice where you're just taking 15 minutes out of your day to show up for yourself and to manage your own nervous system. This is a process that takes 3 to 4 weeks in order to build and embed a practice that is wholesome, that is nourishing, and that is able to help your mind and body feel a bit calmer. You can come and join my community on remotetribe.co.uk, where you can access my course, and I'd love to see you over there. Or you can use some of the resources that are already available out there, some of the apps, etc. But if you're interested in a bit of the neuroscience, as well as building up that practice, check out the course, remotetribe.co.uk. What's interesting in relation to this latest study is that they identified that several of the participants weren't able to work at the beginning of the study. And this is a quote, "Remarkably, all patients at this point were able to successfully return to work after undergoing treatment." These patients also showed improvement in brain fog, which is a common symptom of long COVID. So the researchers have called for a larger study into this, but what's important is that we're identifying that there's a correlation. I think anybody who has tried any work around the vagus nerve, especially if you're dealing with anxiety or stress will have noticed little shifts. But it's not a quick fix. This is about routine and consistency. It's about making sure that you do the work on a daily basis in order to get yourself back to a healthy, happy state of mind and body. But most importantly, it is about putting in place the key things that are needed. I'm going to pop another video up here, which goes into the detail about my own recovery and what I did to come through autoimmune, to come through stress, to come through PTSD, but most importantly, to come through the inflammation of my vagus nerve, which is really possible for you to do. And it's important that you follow through and stay consistent. I'll also put a link up here into one of my exercises that can be really helpful to help you manage the vagus nerve. And that's one of the exercises that have been watched, I think, 300,000 times at this stage in 2022. And then also I'll put up another one where I have a discussion with a group of people who were on my course, and we actually do some simple massage work on the ears, which equally stimulates the vagus nerve. And you may want to check that out too. Let me know your comments below. Ask your questions. I really want us to be able to find a capacity for people who are still long haulers, who are still struggling with long COVID, to find some way that we can help them in our community. So if that's you, let me know. Let's share this content as much as we can. Keep this resource available to as many people as possible. And most importantly, come back and join me for more of my videos. Next week, I'm going to do a demonstration of a beautiful technique that you can do before you go to bed in the evening time to help your nervous system calm down, to help your body relax, and to help you move into a better state of slumber and sleep. So make sure you check that out. Click the bell to find me and come back next week. Anyway, thanks for listening. My name is Justin Caffrey, and I look forward to seeing you again.